What's going on, Junkie Nation? Gorgeous George catching up with the great fighters all the time. No goes this time. And he's pissed, too, because Aaron Pico is one of his favorite fighters. He actually booked the interview. So no goes today, Aaron. It's just you and I. How you doing, my man? All good with you?
Yeah, everything is good. Everything's going well here. Same old. Just training,
Yeah.
riding the horses, preparing for the holidays. So, yeah, life is good.
What have you heard in terms of your future? Like now that some PFL staff has moved over, sorry, Bellator staff has moved over to PFL. Actually, let's just say this: now that everything concluded with Bellator, right, and then PFL made the acquisition, and now we're hearing about some people moving that way, including Mike Hogan, for example. How about to you? Has news trickled to you as far as like where you're gonna land? Like is it a Bellator Championship Series, or do you maybe go directly to PFL? What's the future hold for Aaron Pico?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I wish I had more answers for you, but I don't. I haven't really heard anything, which is a little concerning. But I'm staying optimistic. I know that I think they're probably working some things out. It's a big change, obviously merging the two organizations. But to be honest with you, like I said, I haven't heard anything. But I'm very happy that Mike Hogan is over with PFL now. I heard that they signed him. He's a great guy. He's helped me out a lot in Bellator, and I'm excited. I'm excited for what the future holds for me in MMA, where that's at. As of right now, I have 2 fights left on my contract with Bellator,
Mm-hmm.
and I wish I had more information, but I don't. I don't have much
Well,
to say.
so let's go down this road.
Yeah.
Um, what we've heard is that Bellator is going to do 8 events in 2024, and then beyond that, it still seems to be a little bit of a mystery. Maybe fighters slowly migrate over. I can't imagine the whole roster gets used over 8 shows. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Bellator had quite a lot of fighters, right? And so I want to ask you this way: what would you prefer? Would you prefer to ride out the Bellator series? I mean, you're on the cusp of a title shot, right? Or do you want to just maybe integrate yourself with the new company? I mean, are you a fan of the regular season and the $1 million payout at the end of the year, which is 4 fights, and they say it's pretty grueling because it's not like January to December. That thing starts like in March or April, ends in October, so it's pretty taxing. But then again, I've always said that's tailor made for the wrestlers, and
Yeah.
that's kind of down your alley, maybe. Yes or no? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a good question. I've been in Bellator for so many years, so I've gotten accustomed to my, you know, with everybody there. If I have, like I said, I have 2 fights left on my contract. I'm number 2 in Bellator, and a big goal of mine was to become a world champion in Bellator. I would love to fight for the belt. That's something that I want to have on my resume is a Bellator championship. And I felt like I really had momentum to be a world champion, and I'm right there. I'm starting to come into my own as a fighter. I have everything in order with my team. I feel solid. I feel solid. So to be quite frank, I would love to fight for the Bellator World Championship, and yeah, it was number 2. And a big dream of mine was to have Scott Coker wrap the belt around my waist because I started with him. He stuck by me through the ups and downs. I'm forever grateful for him. He's always been by my side and encouraging me to keep going through the tough times and through the good times. But that was a dream of mine. But I'm optimistic that we'll see. I just have to be prepared for anything. I have to be prepared to fight. They may give me a call and say, "Hey, you're fighting so and so in the PFL." Okay, I mean let's go. Yeah, you're fighting a guy in Bellator. You're fighting. I'm just ready to go. At this point, I just want to fight.
Is fighting right away more important than I guess the title? Like you said, if they call you to go to PFL, then now you're out of that picture of the Bellator title. Which is more important to you?
I want to fight. That's something that I like to stay active. I feel like I said, I have the momentum going for me, and We'll see, because what I've heard is that I think they're doing a champion PFL versus champion Bellator. So Pitbull is kind of I think on that, he's the champion at 145. I think he's kind of holding up the division as far as going down to 135 and then taking these fights and I think it's pretty stupid, to be honest with you, and it kind of bugs me that he just kind of wants to go 135, wants to fight in Japan, wants to have surgery. I understand that injuries do happen, but it is holding up the division, and it's unfortunate. But I'd love to fight him. I want to fight Patricio. That's who I really, really want to fight. And if we can make that fight happen, I think we should.
All right. So, Aaron, I'll also be honest with you. We recently had Jeremy Kennedy. He's making his pitch too, right?
Yeah.
And what I want to know from you is, what would be your pitch as to why it should be you and not him? Because it could be Pitbull versus Pinedo. True. I mean, they brought them in, they faced them off. You have every reason to be pissed off. But tell me why it should be you over Kennedy if it comes down to the world of appealing to the masses, what the fans want, or maybe however the matchmakers feel like the fight will sell better. I don't
know. Yeah, that's Kennedy has to realize that I'm ranked above him, and I think a lot of people he's the one that complains a lot about it. But I just want to be blunt. Jeremy Kennedy is a very, very boring fighter. He's a good fighter, but he's very, very boring. And in this day and age, organizations don't want to see guys just take guys down, sit on their back for 3 rounds and squeak out a win. He's very, very boring. If you ask the fans, if you were to do a poll and ask the fans, hey, do you want Pico to fight Pitbull, or do you want Jeremy Kennedy to fight Pitbull? I can probably say that the fans want me to fight because I'm exciting. Win, lose, or draw, I'm always exciting. Kennedy is very boring. And I think he'll even say that. His coaches will say that. I mean, nobody's really, really that excited for a Jeremy Kennedy fight. You saw what he did with Pedro Carvalho. He just sat on his back for 3 rounds and squeaked out a win. You saw what I did to Pedro. I knocked him out in the first round. Not just a little knockout. It was a brutal knockout with ground and pound. And if you're looking at it as a whole, as an organization, you say, what's going to bring viewers? Who's exciting, Pico or Kennedy? I can guarantee you that the bosses in the organization are going to say, Pico is pretty exciting. Kennedy, not so much. And there's my pitch, honestly. Mm-hmm. And I want to make something clear. I've asked to fight Kennedy so many times. Him and I have the same manager, Ali, and great manager, one of the best in the world. But I've asked. I want to fight a rematch with Kennedy. That wasn't a clean win. I've said it time and time again. But who doesn't want that fight is Kennedy. He doesn't want that. And Scott Coker, when I lost to Kennedy that night when I was in the hospital, I got a call from Scott Coker. He said, "Hey, that win didn't count for Kennedy. I don't even count that. You were a warrior. You wanted to fight, but I want to run that fight back ASAP." I said, "You got it, boss. I want that fight as bad as you do." So I had the surgery. I'm calling for the fight, asking Ali, no, you have to fight so and so. Okay, I fight him. I win. I said, okay, I want to fight Kennedy. No, you got to fight Pedro Carvalho. Fight Pedro Carvalho. Now I beat Pedro Carvalho. So okay, I'm ready to fight Kennedy. Now Kennedy's gonna fight for the championship. So I really don't know. I don't know what's going on. And then the rankings come out. I'm above Kennedy. So explain that to me.
Mm-hmm. I can see where you'd have your frustration when you give us, that viewpoint. 2 strong points you made, the rankings. And
let me ask you guys a question. Sorry, sure. I don't mean to cut you out. Let me ask you a question. If you guys were running the organization and you said, I have 2 guys. I have Jeremy Kennedy. I have Aaron Pico. Who's going to fight for the title? Who would you? And you're going to bring viewers and you're going to put butts in the seat. Who would you have?
Well, I think you're the bigger name. I think you're the bigger name, but I think if you were promised that rematch, I think the best way to figure it out is just make you guys both fight each other. But since we crossed that path already, I think you're the bigger name.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I hate to put you guys on the spot, but I want to have some fun too with it. What's your guys' opinion?
No, you know what? I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did, because we do that to fighters as well. But you know what? We're all adults. We're all men, and we ask tough questions. We get tough answers. I'm glad we got one back. And look, it's tough for us too, because I'll tell you what, Kennedy is part of the same gym that we've been kind of like groomed through when we started the show. Referee Frank Trigg, who's probably refereed maybe one or two of your fights before. He used to fight in the UFC. He was our co-host. So a lot of people don't know this, but he was our co-host back in 2007, 2006 when we got the idea, 2007 when we launched the show. And at that time, we were just fanboys that stumbled upon a great opportunity, which was this show. I know you didn't ask for all the history of Junkie Radio, but it's going to tell you.
It's all good.
With all this, Aaron, came two guys that kind of learned on the job. But at the same time, since Trigg was part of Extreme Couture, so were we. We've seen Jeremy for a long time. But our Goes and I have a reputation of always telling the truth. And so he would have to accept that you asked us a question, we answer it. You are the bigger name. We see the metrics, on our site. It doesn't mean he sucks, and it doesn't mean he doesn't have an excellent record, just like you. But I think Goes phrased it best. Look, when PFL walked those two guys in, it looked like that's kind of what they want to do. And no better time than maybe just run you two back. I don't think Kennedy wants to wait. He didn't sound like a type of fighter that wants to wait either. So here's an opportunity to solidify that number one, because the last thing either one of you wants is for the other guy to get it, or even a third guy to come from nowhere. Because I always say this: what if Pinedo and Pitbull have a classic? It needs to be run back. It's a draw. I don't know, right? And then all of a sudden now 4 months becomes 8 months, or there's an injury. I've seen it happen so many times in this sport. And so when you get stuck around waiting, nobody wins. I think Goes is right. Maybe you two just running it back would settle it.
Yeah, that makes the most sense. And I'm talking, this is just straight business. So, what I'm talking, I'm sure Kennedy's a great guy, and he is, we're very cordial with each other, but this is just business. And I'm just talking open about how I feel.
Yeah.
If they're giving Kennedy the shot, you know what? I'm not going to sit and bitch about it. Life isn't fair sometimes, and I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, well, I deserve it. Then just give me a fight at the end of the day, or give me a time frame of when when you think I'm gonna fight. Because if it's 6 months, 8 months, listen, I have goals. And I'll go wrestle. Honestly, I'll go try to make a Mexican Olympic team, Paris in 2024. I'll go box. I'll keep myself active, but I just want to have some sense of direction of time of when I'm going to fight. And I'm not, and the organizations, I'm sure, are working that out. I'm not here complaining like, oh, you haven't heard anything. I know it's a big transition as far as merging organizations. It's not as cut and dry like, hey, listen, you're going to fight on this date. I understand that.
Yeah.
We're just talking about what I feel. I'm kind of talking just in Bellator, because I haven't really heard anything for PFL. Just in Bellator, I believe I should fight for the title. And, just because you believe it doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to happen. But I can say is that I'm not sitting at my house, whining or complaining. I'm in the gym getting better. I'm getting better in my personal life. I'm getting better in the gym. I'm spending time with my son. So in all aspects of my life, I'm trying to enhance myself. So when that time does come and they say you're going to fight, for example, in March, I'm ready to go and against anybody. And we'll be ready.
The selfish side of me wants to see you fight all three: Kennedy, Pitbull, and Pinedo.
I would love it. I would sincerely do it. If I'm healthy, I will fight. I mean, I'm 27 years old, and I want to be great in this game. I want to be remembered, and to be upfront, I want to make money. I want to put on classic fights. I'm exciting. And I want to fight the best guys in the world and in all organizations. I only have a certain amount of time in this game, and I don't want to waste it. I want to fight.
Aaron, you also said something we can't just let it slip by. It'd be like me telling you guys, Oh yeah, hang on a second. Tell Giselle Bundchen she can give me the lap dances later. You guys would probably go, "What? Giselle wants to give you lap dances? Tell us about it." You just said you
I know
would
where
be
you're
willing
going
to
with
go.
this. I know.
You'd be willing to go to wrestle for the Mexican team in the Olympics, huh? Are you in that kind of shape, and you think you can make that team?
Yeah, I definitely do think I can make that team. I think I could. I feel a lot stronger. My body, mentally, I'm stronger. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that I was just talking to my dad the other day. I said, well, if I'm not going to fight for a while, I'll go down. I'll go down and I'll try to make it. Why not? Why not? What's the worst that could happen? You know, you enter a wrestling tournament. Let's say you don't win, okay, but let's say you do win. You make an Olympic team for Mexico, because that's what I would do. I mean, to be honest with you, that's what I would do. I'm a citizen of Mexico too, so I can do that. But if you do, then you go and try to qualify the weight, then you're at the Olympic Games. It's never been done before. That's just something that is up, depending on what is going on with the organization. I mean, if they say you're going to fight in 3 months, then, you know, fighting is more important to me. But why not make yourself uncomfortable, push yourself a little bit, and see where it goes. And then the other side too, I mean, I want to box. I'm very capable of boxing, so why not go get a few boxing fights in and just keep yourself active.
Dude, you can't be. No, I shouldn't say it like that because I know you can box. You used to box before you wrestled. And I was going to say you can't be any worse than the guy that just fought Jake Paul. I know we've talked about this in the past.
Yeah.
That you'd be willing to do that. Boy, that guy got lit up in one round. I don't know if you caught the fight, but I wanted to ask you. I really want to see that, folks. This guy can box. He really can. Not just from the skills you've seen him display in the MMA cages, but he can actually box. And I'd love to see him versus Jake Paul. But Aaron, do you know the scene in Mexico? Is there some guy your weight class that's going to see this interview and go, "Pinche vato, who's he think he is? Going to roll into Mexico?" Like, do they have a deep wrestling squad? Are they? I know they have the lucha libre history, right? But with respect, do they have the international wrestling, freestyle wrestling history that the United States and other countries do?
Well, no, they're not. They're not like on the U.S. level or in the world. But at the end of the day, Anthony Valencia is who I grew up with wrestling. Is on the Mexican world team. Roman Bravo Young, who wrestled for Penn State, is a 3-time NCAA champion. He's on the Mexican team.
Okay.
And I believe Gomez, he was NCAA All-American a couple times. Wrestled for Wisconsin. He's at 65 kilo, and I believe he's trying to make a world team as well. So I would go 65 kilo. Anthony Valencia is at 74 kilo. This is just hypothetical. So I'd be at 143.
It's not a cakewalk.
I'm sorry?
So it's not a cakewalk then. There's some athletes there.
No. I wouldn't go 74 kilo. Anthony Valencia is Anthony Valencia is there. He's very, very good, and I would love to wrestle on the team with him. And if I'm not mistaken, to be honest with you, I think Zaid Valencia has, who's Anthony's brother, who's a 3-time NCAA champion, has the option, I think, to go for US or for the US or Mexico. And if I were him, I'd go for Mexico. Yeah. Why go through Murderers Row in the US and then Zaid can make an Olympic team right now and make the team and then go qualify the way and be at the Olympic Games and go win a medal. I mean, he really can do that. So if we really did put our heads together, we can, for Mexico, can really put a stack team together. But it would be very difficult for me to do it. But why not? If it's in the cards, we'll see. I call Ruben Valencia right now at St. John Bosco and say, "Hey, Ruben, I need to make a world team. Let's go." I'm sure you'd enjoy that call.
Well, before Goes gets started, let me just say one thing. My bad, Mexico. I didn't know that you guys had them kind of horses. All right.
Yeah, they're bringing up a roster. I mean, honestly, if you're in the U.S., and I don't think the United States is going to be very happy that I say this because, but it is what it is. I'm just going to talk openly. If you are here in America and you have an option to go to another country and get citizenship and be able to represent that country in the Olympics or the World Championships, and it's a clear path to victory to get to the World Championships and to the Olympics, you would be stupid not to. Because in the United States, of course, we're so deep. You're gonna go through all these tough guys, and then have to wrestle best out of three matches to get to basically make the United States team. So you go through all those matches, best out of three, and then you still have to go to the World Championships. Why have that stress when you can just go literally make a team and then go wrestle at the World Championships, keep your body fresh, wrestle, go to the Olympic Games, go medal? Because at the end of the day, all that matters is the World Championships and the medals. Some people may not agree with that, but I'm not here to please everybody. I'm just doing what's right. And you're seeing some, like, for example, Stevan Micic, who I was on 3 world teams with for the U.S., he went and wrestled for Serbia, makes the team no problem, has 2 world medals. He just won the World Championships, is ready to go to Paris, and I believe he's going to be an Olympic champion. And they still train in the United States. He just represents a different country.
Mm-hmm.
So
Aaron,
that's my take.
I don't know if you know this about me. You know me as Goes, but my real name is Brian. But when I go to Mexico, I'm not Brian, I'm Brian. Are you going to be Aaron Pico when you go over there? Will you play that off, or like how does that work?
Well, Aaron is how you say it. Yeah, so that's how they say it.
So this is might be the world's dumbest question, but okay. I know that this doesn't happen too often, so I'm very curious. If you were to do that and wrestle for Mexico, it's very rare that athletes can do, let's say, wrestling and boxing. If you were to do, let's say, boxing, could you still do boxing as an American, or is it once you do Mexico, it's all across the board Mexico? Do you know that?
Yeah, that's a good. Well, I think you would. It's a good question. I don't know. I can't give you a for sure answer.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was to wrestle, I would just wrestle. At boxing, I wouldn't go and try to make a boxing.
No, I'm just curious. I know, like in soccer, once you make that commitment, that's it. Yeah. But I didn't know if you did another sport, if you could do another country.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I don't want to say anything that is false, but
I do want to ask you. So behind me over here is a WEC glove, and I remember when the WEC guys went over to the UFC. At first, it took a while for them to kind of blend into the UFC, because for a long time, people were saying, no, the UFC fighters are better. No, the WEC fighters. And so for a while, when we would interview them, they still felt like, regardless of the fact that they were wearing UFC gloves, they were still kind of representing the WEC for years. What do you think it'll be like for you when the time comes to don PFL gloves, if that happens? Do you feel like you'll still kind of be representing Bellator in a sense, or once the switch is done, it's done?
Yeah, I think. Well, I've been with Bellator since I've been, 17 years old. I didn't fight till I was 20, but I've been with them my whole career. It's been a while. One person that I'm gonna always be thankful for is Scott Coker, and no matter where I end up, I will always be grateful for Scott and giving me my first opportunity in MMA, and like I've said before, sticking by me. And that just really kind of puts me down that I wasn't able to have him wrap a belt around my waist. That's something that I really, really wanted. But no matter what, when I become a world champion, he's going to have a huge part in that, and that's who I will be forever grateful for, and I will always think of him in my MMA career for sure.
Aaron, do you if the PFL were to ask you, hey, what's one aspect of Bellator that you would like to kind of see continue over here on the PFL side, whether it's any type of promotion or a Grand Prix, however, something that a way you were treated or whatever in Bellator that you would like to kind of see continue on over here on the PFL side?
Well, if I'm talking from a fighting standpoint, I would love to see, like, in the tournaments, like elbows, where we can throw elbows. But Bellator is all I've known, and I have to say that the staff there and all the people behind the scenes have been so good to me, and they've treated me so well, and it's just been very smooth in all my fights. So that's a very tough question to answer because I haven't really seen how PFL is run behind the scenes. But I can speak on Bellator is that anything that I needed or needed help or just whatever as far as the people you don't see on camera, they were very very good to me, and I'm gonna miss them a lot, and I'm so thankful for them. So yeah, that's something that that I will always have respect for. But as far as fighting, I'd love to see the elbows be incorporated in the tournament or in the organization. If correct me if I'm wrong, you're not allowed to throw elbows in PFL, right?
Right.
So I
Not
mean,
in the
as a
regular
wrestler,
season, only in the
okay,
playoffs.
okay, yeah. So in the regular season, I'd love to see elbows for wrestlers. I think that's that's a big weapon of mine, and I want every advantage that I can get. So.
Aaron, I did want to tell you this. I loved when you said about 15 minutes ago, I'm going to be blunt. I love it when fighters tell us what they want because in this sport, you have to do it. It's a grimy sport, and you have to be selfish at times. And so this is what I'm getting at. One day, if you fight for the title, request Scott Coker to be the one to put the belt around you, just like The Rock put a belt around Jorge Masvidal. That came out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
If you really want it, if that really meant that much to you, I don't think he's a guy that's not respected across the board. And I don't know if he would accept or not, but he built something pretty big, was over there for quite a long time. And who knows? I don't know. I always say if that's something you really wanted to, it can't hurt to ask, and that I think that would be super cool because you could tell when you said it, you meant it. The other thing was if you do box in Mexico or wrestle, what do you think of this? El Magnífico Aaron Pico or Aaron El Magnífico Pico?
That's nice. I've never heard of that. I never heard that one before, but it flows pretty well. It flows
Yeah.
pretty well.
Pretty good,
Yeah.
Coach.
Usually we're closing our interviews with some modern day and Bosco talk, but this time I decided to try and help you out with a nickname if you do go south of the border.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Like, but I just want to clear it up. Like, if I would like box, it would be like hopefully it would be like somewhere I can go and get some some fights down in Mexico, or U.S. or wherever. Just keep the ball rolling. Because I think it's important as fighters to feel that pressure, to feel that anxiety, to just keep it sharp. When you go a couple of months or a year without fighting, you kind of lose that sharpness. So to feel a little bit of that pressure, to feel like there's some anxiety is something that's important. I don't necessarily like it, but I know, but I'm gonna be honest with myself. I need to feel that anxiety, that fear, because that's what really wakes you up in the morning as fighters. Like, shit, I got to get to practice because I got a big fight and I want to win, and I need to have that in my life, something to look forward to as far as something being scary, because that's what keeps us sharp.
No doubt. Thanks for the time today. We appreciate it. Sorry we hogged you up for such a long time, but there was a lot to cover. And then when you went Mexico, Paris 2024 on us, we had to cover that. So always a blast talking to you. I hope the best for you. I really hope in 2024 you get 3 huge fights, whether it's those 3 names or whatever else, you deserve them.
I appreciate it. No, I enjoy talking to you guys, and you guys have always been good to me. And I appreciate you guys interviewing me, because there's really not much going on to really want to talk to me. It means a lot. And anytime you guys want to do an interview, I'm more than happy to do it. So it was a pleasure.